Revealed. Incredible journey of a virgin who discovers hidden life-changing miracle after 9 years. Emily's heart raced as she stood by her grandfather's bedside, the rhythmic beeping of the machines punctuating the heavy silence of the hospital room. The smell of antiseptic filled the air, mixing with the warmth of the late autumn sun streaming through the window, illuminating her grandfather's weathered face. He was a decorated war veteran, a living encyclopedia of courage and tales that had inspired her since childhood. But now, his strength was waning, leaving Emily with a gnawing fear that echoed louder than the hospital machines. This moment felt monumental, as if she were teetering on the precipice of her tumultuous emotions, ready to fall. As she gently squeezed his hand, memories flooded back, stories of heroism, laughter, and nights spent under the stars, listening to him recount battles that turned boys into men. "You must be brave, Em," he always said. But here she was, broke and overwhelmed, scrambling between the diner where she worked and cleaning houses in the evenings just to make ends meet. She felt like a late bloomer in a world where success was so neatly defined by milestones, marriage, and career advancements. And then there was Jake, her brother, who hadn't just climbed the corporate ladder. He had practically built the thing, constantly critiquing her life choices. Just then, the door swung open, and in walked Leo, a struggling artist she had met at the community center. "Hey, Emily," he said with a warm smile, a stark contrast to the harshness of the hospital room. They ended up chatting, an unexpected moment of laughter spilling into their heavy hearts. His dreams, art fairs, community projects were shared with the same fervor she had long buried deep within her. Somehow, her frustrations faded momentarily, replaced by hope blooming inside her chest. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With Leo's encouragement dancing in her mind, Emily organized a community gathering to support families in need. She put in late nights phoning neighbors, drumming up excitement. Her first event was buzzing with energy, and for the first time in years, she felt like a leader. The realization flooded her with warmth, igniting a spark she thought had long extinguished. Each cheerful face added fuel to her ambition, and she believed that maybe, just maybe, she had something worthwhile to give back. But life had a way of throwing curveballs, and as Emily sifted through her grandfather's possessions, she stumbled upon hidden letters, painful yet powerful truths about his past, loaded with sacrifices that once cut deeper than she realized. Tension brewed in her chest as old wounds resurfaced when Jake confronted her, accusing her of holding the family back, just as he raised the stakes of a fading bond. Emily stood frozen, caught between her brother's frustration and the weight of their grandfather's untold sacrifices. "You think I'm wasting my life, but you don't see what I've built," she exclaimed, tears threatening to spill as she fought for not just her worth, but for the love that seemed lost in misunderstanding. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the upcoming gathering loomed like a storm cloud, their family and community's allegiance balanced on unclear terms. Emily took a breath, the myriad of emotions swirling within her like the autumn leaves dancing outside, and she knew something had to change. Would this be the moment that defines them all, or the beginning of a painful unraveling? The days leading up to the community gathering were a blur of nervous anticipation for Emily. Each morning, she woke with a flutter of excitement that quickly faded into dread when she remembered Jake's words. Was she really wasting her life? Those thoughts gnawed at her, undermining the sense of purpose she'd begun to feel. Yet amidst the chaos of her thoughts, Leo's face kept appearing, his belief in her sparking a flicker of resilience. On the day of the event, Emily woke up before dawn. The early morning light poured through her window, promising a fresh start. She brewed coffee, the rich aroma filling her small apartment, and began to set up the space, string lights, banners, tables draped in cheerful cloth. Her fingers worked tirelessly as she arranged chairs in a circle, transforming the community center from a bare hall into a warm, welcoming venue. With every string of lights hung, each table set, she felt a growing sense of power. This was her vision. An opportunity to bring people together, to share the strength she had learned from her grandfather. She thought of him laid up in that hospital room, wishing he could be there, and her heart sank a little. That was the moment she made a decision she would honor him, not just by reminiscing, but by embodying the bravery he had instilled in her. As the crowd trickled in, she was surprised to see familiar faces. Neighbors, co-workers, even old friends from high school. They filled the room with chatter and laughter, each person lending their warmth to the space. Emily took a deep breath and stepped up to the small stage. "Thank you all for coming," she said, her voice stronger than she felt. She looked over the sea of faces, every smile reflecting a shared hope. "We're here to support one another, to create real change in our community." The atmosphere shifted as she spoke. People listened, their eyes glimmering with shared dreams. Emily could feel their energy, wrapping around her like a support blanket. As the night progressed, stories flowed. People shared their struggles and triumphs, laughter mixing with tears. Emily felt alive, empowered by the raw honesty around her. She wasn't just organizing an event, she was weaving a tapestry of connection, hope, and resilience. But just as she felt herself riding that high, the door swung open, and in walked Jake. Anxiety washed over her. He stood silent, scanning the room, and for a moment it felt like the air had thickened. He had come, but what would he think? The evening wore on, and as Emily prepared to close the event, Jake approached her. "You did all of this?" His voice was softer than she remembered, his eyes searching hers. I didn't know you had it in you." There it was, that glimmer of respect she craved. A bridge, perhaps, connecting their worlds again. But then, a flicker of doubt crept in. Would he truly see her? Or was this just the temporary fog of feeling proud? "Maybe you could help me next time?" she suggested, hoping a collaboration could rebuild what felt lost between them. Jake hesitated, looking around at the smiling faces. "Yeah, I'd like that." Emily's heart lifted, but just as quickly, it sunk when the quiet talk faded, and a clear voice broke through the murmur. "Can we make this event a regular thing?" Someone from the back shouted, enthusiasm bubbling over. Seeing others rally behind the idea ignited a spark within Emily, but the nagging truth loomed. Could she sustain this momentum? As the gathering ended, with heartfelt goodbyes and promises to meet again, Emily felt the weight of her grandfather's lessons pressing upon her. She knew she had to delve deeper into both her dreams and the hidden family truths that lay ahead. Standing alone for a moment in the empty hall, she stared at the remnants of the night, excitement and fear warring inside her. Would she find the answers she needed, or would the burden of her family's past crush her newfound spirit? The door swung wide open, and Leo stepped in, a hopeful glimmer in his eyes. "So, what's next for you?" Emily took a moment to collect her thoughts. Just as the first leaf fell outside, signaling the deepening autumn, "I think I need to uncover more about my grandfather, and maybe explore this new path." As she spoke, an electrifying thought shot through her. Could this discovery lead her to the life-changing miracle she never saw coming? The weight of Leo's gaze hung in the air, filled with a mix of support and curiosity. Emily let out a slow breath. She could almost feel the chill of autumn beginning to set in. The promise of change intertwined with the scent of brisk leaves and coming frost. "What are you thinking?" Leo stepped a little closer, as if he could lend her his own courage. "I want to learn more about my grandfather's life," Emily replied, her heart racing. "There's so much I don't know, and I need to understand why he was so important to everyone. Maybe then I can figure out my own path." Leo nodded, his expression shifting from curiosity to something more profound. "And you think his past holds the key?" "I have to believe that," she said, feeling the spark of determination flicker again. It was the same tenacity her grandfather had shown during challenging times, and maybe it was passed down to her. "Then you'll have to dig deep," Leo encouraged. "What if you start with his old letters? Or even the things he kept in his attic?" The idea sent a thrill through her. "I never thought about going through his belongings, it's a little daunting." "Yeah, it can be," he admitted. "But think about the stories you might uncover. Imagine connecting your life to his in such a powerful way." Emily felt a wash of warmth at his words. Hope and anxiety twined together, drawing her closer to an unwritten chapter. Could this quest reveal unexpected truths, or would it just lead to heartache? What if it hurts? She whispered, thinking of all the dark corners of her family history she might unearth. It might, Leo replied, his voice gentle but resolute. But growth doesn't come without discomfort, Emily. Sometimes we have to face the shadows to truly step into the light. His sincerity wrapped around her like a warm blanket. As she looked into his eyes, filled with understanding, she felt a sense of partnership, forming someone who would walk alongside her on this journey. Suddenly, an impulsive idea surged within her. Would you want to help me go through his things? Leo's expression lit up. Absolutely. I'd be honored to. They made a plan to meet at her grandfather's house the next afternoon. Emily's stomach fluttered at the thought. This was more than just a physical undertaking. It was a plunge into her family's history, and an exploration of herself. That night, she lay awake, the stars twinkling through her window. Memories of her grandfather flooded her mind. Stories he would tell that felt so alive, rich with adventure and wisdom. Could those stories unlock something within her? The following day arrived swiftly. Emily stood before her grandfather's old house, heart thudding in her chest. The peeling paint and overgrown garden reflected a sense of history. As she turned the key, the door creaked open, welcoming her into the past. Dust motes danced in the afternoon light, and shadows flickered in the corners. Ready? Leo asked, stepping beside her. Emily nodded, steeling herself for whatever lay ahead. As they sifted through old boxes and faded photographs, she felt an odd mix of excitement and anxiety rise within her. Would the hidden gems of her grandfather's past shine a light on her own future? The first box they opened was filled with letters tied with a faded ribbon. The name scrawled on the top, Dorothy, sent a jolt through her. Who was Dorothy? What role had she played in her grandfather's life? Will you look at this? Emily said, holding the bundle tightly, her pulse quickening. As the letters unraveled secrets and stories, she felt her world shifting. Each word was a thread in the intricate tapestry of her grandfather's life, and she had only just begun to pull. But deep inside, another thought grumbled. What other truths were waiting to be uncovered? The moment grew heavy with possibility as Emily sat on the edge of discovery. Would these revelations bring her closer to herself, and perhaps to the family she'd thought she knew so well? The letters were just the beginning, and as she turned the first page, she couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to unfold. The musty scent of old paper enveloped Emily as she unfolded the first letter. Its edges frayed and worn. The cursive handwriting, so elegant and fluid, belonged to a world far removed from her own. Each stroke felt like a whisper from the past, drawing her deeper into her grandfather's story, the life he had lived before the family she knew and loved existed. What does it say? Leo leaned over her shoulder, his curiosity palpable. Emily's eyes scanned the loopy words, and her heart quickened with each sentence. It's a letter from Dorothy. It seems like she and my grandfather were really close. A warmth blossomed in her chest. The existence of this connection was exciting and terrifying all at once. What does she say about him? Leo asked, his tone inviting as if they were sharing a precious secret. Emily paused, the next words clinging to her throat. She talks about how he dreamed of traveling the world. There's something about a trip they planned together. A swift pang of longing struck her, mingled with a hint of jealousy for the adventures her grandfather had experienced. Do you think he ever went? Leo's voice was soft, encouraging her to explore. Maybe. The thought made her heart ache. Her grandfather, vibrant and alive, planning a future she never knew about. Or maybe life took him in a different direction. As they read together, the image of her grandfather shifted. He wasn't just the wise old man who had shared bedtime stories filled with laughter. He was a young man with dreams and hopes, wrestling with the same uncertainties she now faced. Her mind buzzed with questions. How had his life turned out so different from the dreams he had? Had he ever returned to those plans? Or had life swept him into a different current? Finally, they reached the end of the stack and set the letters aside, the revelations still swirling in Emily's mind. There's just so much I don't know, she whispered, half to herself. Then let us find out more. Maybe there are photos or other letters in the attic. Leo suggested, gesturing toward the rickety stairs leading up. Emily hesitated, glancing at the darkened staircase. What if we find things that hurt? Or things that surprise us? Leo countered gently. You'll never know until you look. He smiled, his face lighting up with a sense of adventure, a contagious eagerness that grounded her swirling thoughts. With a determined nod, she gripped the banister, her heart pounding as they ascended. Each step felt like a leap into the unknown, the floor creaking under their weight, as if it held its own secrets tightly in its grip. The attic door creaked open, and the musty air rushed out to greet them. Sunlight filtered through a small, dusty window, illuminating boxes piled high, each waiting for them to uncover its stories. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. What do you want to start with? Leo asked, glancing at her with a mix of hope and excitement. Emily's gaze wandered over the stacked boxes, imagination racing. What lay beneath the layers of dust? Maybe that one. She pointed to a worn trunk labeled with her grandfather's initials in faded gold leaf. For a moment, she hesitated at the threshold, a flicker of fear weaving through her. What if the past was more than she could handle? But the curiosity and the pull of connection urged her forward. Let us see what's inside. As they fumbled with the trunk's latch, a multitude of emotions coursed through her. This felt like a pivotal moment. Could this be where she uncovered the pieces of her grandfather that would change everything? She took a breath, heart racing. With a soft click, the trunk sprang open, and the contents spilled forth a jumble of photographs, trinkets, and a diary. Emily's breath caught as she held up the diary, its cover faded but still dignified. What did you find? Leo asked, his excitement mirroring her own. Emily opened the diary, the first page revealing a date that sent shivers down her spine. It was the year her grandfather had passed away. What revelations awaited her within those pages? As she turned the next leaf, her heart raced, and she realized this was not just a window into her grandfather's past. It might be the key to understanding her own future. With trembling fingers, she delved deeper into the diary, her apprehension growing. What truths, hidden for so long, would surface? And how would they shape the person she was meant to be? The door to her grandfather's life was wide open, and she was about to step through. But what would she discover on the other side? Would she be ready for the truth? The pages felt almost alive in Emily's hands, each one a bridge to a life she had barely glimpsed. As she turned the first few pages, the scratch of her grandfather's pen seemed to echo in the quiet attic. His handwriting, though faded, was steady and intentional. Each word pulled her deeper conversations with Dorothy, little snippets about adventures that turned into daydreams and realities. Listen to this, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, her eyes widening as she read aloud. Dorothy and I spent hours planning our trip to Italy. I can almost taste the gelato and hear the laughter in the streets of Rome. She paused, feeling an ache grow in her chest. Wow, your grandfather had big plans, Leo said, leaning in closer, his breath warm against her neck. Do you think he ever made it? She shook her head, focusing on the next line. He wrote about their dreams, but then it changes. Life happens, you know? She turned another page, and the tone shifted from hopeful and excited to something heavy, a weight that felt familiar. He started writing about struggles, jobs he didn't get, disappointments. With each line, a vivid picture began to form. Her grandfather wasn't merely a distant figure confined to family dinners and quiet game nights. He was a vibrant man whose aspirations felt unsettlingly close to her own. The more she read, the more she longed to connect with him further, to understand the choices that led him away from his early dreams. Emily, look at this. Leo interrupted, holding up a small photograph that slipped from the diary. It showed her grandfather, young and smiling, arm around a bright-eyed woman whose resemblance to Emily was uncanny. The date scrawled on the back confirmed it was taken during their planned trip to Italy. This must be Dorothy. Her heart fluttered. Suddenly, the letters and diary weren't just relics. They were tangible moments caught in time. They looked so happy, she murmured, tracing the edges of the picture. An effortless joy radiated from the photograph, stirring a longing inside her. As Leo sorted through more contents of the trunk, Emily's eyes darted back to the diary. This could really help me understand him, Leo. I mean, why did he give up on all of this? Maybe he didn't give up, Leo replied thoughtfully. stacking a few trinkets beside him. Maybe he found something else that mattered more: family, love, a different type of happiness. She considered this, her breath slowing. But what if he lived with regret? What if he thought he failed? Before Leo could respond, Emily turned the pages hastily, finding lines marked with more urgency as the entries progressed. There was mention of illness, of loss. Her own heart fell into a pit. "Oh no," she whispered, understanding dawning. He was at a crossroads. "You don't have to read it if it's too much," Leo said gently, sensing her turmoil. "No, I need to know," she insisted, almost defiantly. "I need to understand. What if his choices could help me with mine?" As she skimmed to the final entries, the weight of revelation bore down harder, twisting her heart in knots. Each word felt like a plea, urgent with desperation yet laced with hope. The last entry ended abruptly with a half-finished thought. "But I will keep dreaming because dreams lead us somewhere." Emily's fingers trembled against the paper. He wanted to keep dreaming, even though? Leo urged, craning closer. Even though life hadn't gone according to plan. It was a bittersweet reminder that nothing turns out perfectly. Yet the importance of dreaming remained. She was confused. Her emotions were swirling. How did she navigate her own dreams? "Leo, I think I need to find out more about my grandfather, about Dorothy, and about what it means to have those dreams," she said, her mind racing with urgency. He grinned softly, a spark of shared understanding flickering in his eyes. "Then let us keep digging. There has to be more." Just as Emily was about to agree, an object nestled in the trunk caught her eye. It was a weathered envelope addressed to her grandfather, stamped and dated just days before his death. Her hand hovered over it, her heart pounding anew. What could it possibly contain? As she carefully opened the envelope, she felt the pull of destiny deep within her. Would this letter lead to answers, or unravel further mysteries about her grandfather's life? Emily held her breath, anticipation hanging heavy in the air, ready to reveal the next chapter of a journey that might just transform her own path forever. Inside the envelope, Emily found a single sheet of paper, wrinkled but intact. She unfolded it slowly, her heart racing. The neat, albeit shaky handwriting belonged unmistakably to her grandfather. "Leo, it's a letter," she said, her voice a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She took a deep breath and began to read, each word igniting a mixture of hope and fear. "Dear Emily," it began, "if you're reading this, then I've gone to a better place. I've always wanted to share my story with you, but time slipped through my fingers like sand. Know that life is a collection of moments, and sometimes it feels as if the important ones escape us." A lump formed in her throat as she read further. "I often found myself at the crossroads, where each path could lead to bright futures or dark regrets. The past weighed on me, but in those dark hours, I learned that dreams don't just fade away, they transform. I want you to believe in your own dreams." Emily's thoughts raced as she absorbed his words. Her grandfather, who she thought lived a life of unfulfilled desires, had developed a profound understanding. She glanced at Leo, who was watching her intently, clearly sensing the emotional whirlwind swirling inside her. "The most important thing," the letter continued, "is to embrace the unknown. I never traveled to Italy, and I cherish the memories I made while dreaming of it. But my greatest adventure became family instead. The laughter, the love, those were the true treasures. Hold tight to those who nurture your spirit." Tears filled Emily's eyes. She felt a warm glow in her chest. It was as if her grandfather spoke directly to her heart, guiding her through her own doubts. "Don't be afraid to pursue what sets your soul on fire," the letter urged. "Your path is waiting to be etched. Remember, even unfulfilled dreams can lead to joy. You are free to redefine happiness on your terms." As she finished, the weight of his words settled over her like a comforting blanket. But the letter wasn't done. "P.S. Dorothy sent me a postcard just weeks before I passed. She wanted to reconnect, to relive the dreams we shared. If you find it, please send her my love." Emily's breath hitched. Dorothy was still alive? A sense of purpose surged within her. "Leo," she whispered, wiping away a tear. "We have to find Dorothy. This letter is our key to unraveling the past. It might even give us those answers I've been seeking about my grandfather's journey." "Let us track her down," Leo replied, determination radiating from him. If she holds the key to your family's unfinished story, then let us uncover it together. The attic suddenly felt bigger, filled with the promise of discovery. The past was reaching out, and Emily felt herself drawn into a labyrinth of memories that might reshape not only her understanding of her grandfather, but also her own future. With renewed energy, she began ruffling through the rest of the trunk, searching for anything that could help them find Dorothy. Suddenly, another envelope caught her eye, this one marked urgent in bold letters. Curiosity twisted in her stomach. What if it was another clue? Her hands began to tremble again. What new revelations would it hold? Would it lead to more answers, or deeper questions? Emily clutched the envelope tightly, as anticipation hung in the air. The journey was just beginning, and with it came the hope for healing, understanding, and acceptance. What lay within that new envelope could change everything. Emily felt her heart thud in her chest as she held the urgent envelope. It was slightly battered, worn at the edges as if it had been tucked away in the trunk for years, kept secret all this time. She motioned for Leo to come closer, her fingers lightly trailing over the front, as if she could sense the importance of its contents without even opening it. "What do you think it is?" Leo asked softly, his eyes wide with curiosity. "I'm not sure, but the way it's marked it feels important. Like it might have something to do with Dorothy or even something more about my grandfather," Emily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. With a steadying breath, she tore open the envelope. Inside was another piece of paper, this one folded in half. She unfolded it, and her breath caught when she saw her grandfather's handwriting again. "Emily, if you're reading this, it means you've found more than just memories." The first line sent a shiver down her spine. "This is not just a simple letter. It's a piece of my soul that I'm giving to you. And it carries an urgent message." Emily read on, her heart pounding. "I wrote this after talking to Dorothy. She had secrets, deeper than I ever realized. My regrets linger like shadows that you can help chase away." "What kind of secrets?" Leo leaned in, his voice low, as if afraid of disturbing the delicate moment. "The kind that define a life," Emily murmured, already lost in the unfolding narrative. "He talks about dreams lost to fear, and how Dorothy may hold the answers to the questions he was never brave enough to ask." She felt a connection with the words, an urgency calling her forward into the unknown. He mentions a place, a cafe in the small town where they grew up. He wanted to meet her there one last time before it was too late. A place filled with laughter and dreams. "I think going there might help us find her. Do you think we can get there today?" Leo asked, enthusiasm lighting up his face. "I want to," Emily said, her spirit lifting with the thought of action. "Finding Dorothy feels like a destiny waiting at the end of a path lit by my grandfather's hopes." But as she continued reading, doubt crept in. He warns that the past can be painful. "It left scars I might not be ready to face. There's a chance I might discover things about him that I'm not ready to know. It's a risk." "Every journey comes with risks," Leo said, his voice steady. "You have to decide what you want more. To stay in the comfort of what you know or to brave whatever lies ahead." Emily weighed his words, the tension building within her like the rising heat before a summer storm. "I want to know what this is about. I want to understand the man he was, and the dreams he didn't fulfill." With a new sense of purpose, she turned to Leo, determination shining in her eyes. "Let us head to that cafe and find Dorothy. It's time to uncover the truth." As they prepared to leave the attic, she felt a twinge of fear along with excitement. What if the truth was too much to bear? What if some memories were better left untouched? But she couldn't let those thoughts shackle her down anymore. The sound of the door creaking open felt monumental, as if they were crossing into a new chapter of their lives. What if Dorothy held a key to a truth that could reshape everything they believed? As they stepped out into the world, Emily knew the answer awaited them, just beyond the horizon. The car ride to the cafe felt like a whirlwind. The sun hung low in the sky, creating a golden glow that bathed the world in warmth. Emily grasped the edges of the envelope tightly, her heart racing as if it could break free and lead her to her destination. Every bump in the road sent a jolt of anticipation through her. "What if we get there, and she's not what you hoped for?" Leo said, his eyes flicking to her in the passenger seat, searching for signs of uncertainty. "What if she doesn't want to talk?" Emily clenched her jaw, fighting back doubt. What if she does? What if she has answers that could change everything? She turned to face him, feeling the weight of the moment. I have to try, Leo. I need to know about my grandfather, and what he left behind. Leo nodded, understanding the storm brewing in her heart. Okay, we'll take it one step at a time. Just remember, whatever happens, I've got your back. As they approached the small town, the familiar streets stirred memories buried deep within Emily. The cafe was nestled at the end of a tree-lined road, its weathered sign swaying gently in the breeze. The world around them felt alive, buzzing with the laughter of patrons and the enticing aroma of fresh coffee wafting through the air. Here we are, Leo said, parking the car with a deep breath. He turned to Emily, who sat frozen for a moment, her fingers dancing over the envelope. What if I can't do this? She whispered. You can, he assured her, placing a hand on her shoulder. Just remember, you're not just doing this for you. You're doing it for him too. Gathering courage, Emily stepped out of the car. Each stride toward the cafe was layered with memories her mind could barely grasp, snippets of family stories, whispers of laughter, and promises made long ago. The door swung open, and the bell tinkled, music to her ears and an invitation that felt overwhelming. Inside, the ambience was warm, with soft chatter and clinking dishes. Emily's pulse quickened as she scanned the room, recognizing the little booth by the window where her grandfather once shared hot chocolate with Dorothy felt surreal. I'll grab us a table, Leo said, sensing her hesitation. He moved toward a quiet corner, leaving her a moment alone with her thoughts. Emily took a deep breath, her heart pounding. Then she spotted an elderly woman sitting alone in the far corner, her white hair like a halo around her head. The woman's gaze was distant, a slight frown on her face, as if she were looking through the cafe and into another time. Dorothy. Emily's voice trembled, belief mixing with uncertainty. The woman's head turned, something in her eyes lighting up as they met Emily's gaze. For a brief moment, time stood still. Recognition? Surprise? It was hard to tell. But before Emily could move, before she could make sense of the moment, Dorothy's face turned back to the window. Was it a sign of disappointment? Or something deeper? Perhaps a buried secret waiting to be uncovered? Emily's voice from the booth behind her broke through the silence. Is that really you? Emily's heart surged. This was it. The moment she had longed for lay just in front of her. But so many questions lurked in the shadows, threatening to engulf her in uncertainty. Steeling herself, she took a step toward Dorothy. I came to hear your story. As she spoke those words, a memory flickered through her mind, her grandfather's warning about shadows and regrets. Would she find joy, sorrow, or both in this meeting? But what if discovering the truth behind her grandfather's dreams came at a price she hadn't anticipated? Emily stood frozen for a moment, her pulse racing like a drum in her ears. The words she had just spoken hung in the air, heavy with expectation. She hoped for a breakthrough but feared the shadows that might loom behind Dorothy's eyes. Dorothy's voice came again, this time softer, almost hesitant. You're here, finally conjuring her strength. Emily took another step forward. I am. I want to understand about everything. About the past. Dorothy looked up again, this time with a hint of curiosity that was slowly replacing her earlier distance. Her gaze traveled over Emily's features, as if searching for traces of someone she had known long ago. It's been a long time, Dorothy finally said, her voice shaking slightly. A very long time. Emily could feel the weight of that silence, the years lost between them. A chasm formed from unresolved words. She wanted to leap across it but didn't know how. The envelope felt like a stone in her pocket, bearing the weight of her grandfather's legacy yet again. As Dorothy shifted in her seat, the sunlight caught the edges of tears glistening in her eyes. Your grandfather, he was a good man. But life had its way of complicating things. Emily swallowed hard, fighting against a wave of emotions. What did he leave behind? Why did he never come back home? The room felt smaller, every patron absorbed in their own world, while time slowed to a crawl. Finally, Dorothy sighed, her shoulders slumping under the weight of untold stories. He had to make choices he thought were right, but they didn't lead to the life he wanted. But maybe it can start now? Emily's voice shook slightly. We can talk about what happened. I have so many questions. Dorothy glanced out the window, the shadows of her past flickering behind her gaze. Some stories aren't easy to tell, she murmured. But maybe they need to be shared. For you. For him. You're right, said Emily, stepping closer to the booth. I need to understand him. I feel like I can finally start piecing it all together. Leo, who had been watching from his table, sensed their connection shift. He could see the tension in Emily's stance loosening, the weight of anticipation beginning to fade. Yet, as he observed Dorothy's face, he wondered what buried secrets and heartaches lay hidden behind those familiar eyes. A small silence fell between them, vibrating with possibilities. Emily took another step into that silence. I brought something for you, she said, pulling the envelope from her pocket, its edges worn from her anxious clutching. I think it's important to you and to me. It's about my grandfather. Dorothy's expression shifted, the defiance of melancholy fading into curiosity. An envelope? Oh dear, what have you got there? With trembling hands, Emily placed the envelope on the table between them. A flicker of apprehension crossed Dorothy's face. Something deeper than fear, a longing for closure perhaps, or the chance to mend a long-broken connection. Can you open it? Emily urged gently, feeling the anticipation flutter in her chest. I want us to face it together. Dorothy hesitated, glancing at the envelope as if it were a Pandora's box. The cafe noise faded into a whisper as she reached out, hesitant fingers brushing against the paper. Would this moment open pathways to understanding? Or would it eclipse the glimmers of hope she had clung to for so long? As the envelope began to peel open, Emily held her breath. The secret of her grandfather's legacy hung in the balance. Just a few words away, but what if those words unleashed more than just memories? What if they unearthed truths that had lingered like ghosts, waiting for the right moment to be revealed? A deep breath filled the air as Emily watched Dorothy carefully slide the letter from the envelope. The letter seemed to shimmer with the weight of history, of love, and of unspoken words that had been held tight for far too long. As Dorothy unfolded the letter, her hands trembled slightly. Emily's heart beat hard against her ribcage. What does it say? She murmured, her eyes glued to the elderly woman's expression. I don't know yet, Dorothy replied softly, her voice a blend of hope and trepidation. She began to read, her eyes dancing across the familiar handwriting, laden with emotion. Dear Emily, the letter began, if you're reading this, then I am gone, and I am sorry for the time lost. My life has been filled with dreams put aside for obligations that felt right, but carried a weight I never foresaw. The truth is you are my heart, and I wish I had shared that with you. Emotions swirled within Emily, every word echoing the journey she had just taken. As Dorothy read, her expression shifted, revealing layers of buried sorrow and a flicker of relief. Your grandfather dreamed of exploring, of a world beyond his own, and I was supposed to be part of that journey, she whispered. But life took us down a different road, one where dreams faded, and we convinced ourselves that family was all that mattered. Her voice quivered, the quiet honesty of her reflection cutting through the ambient noise of the cafe. Emily leaned closer, but he still held on to those dreams, didn't he? Does that mean we can find a way to fulfill them? Together? Dorothy gazed at her, the corners of her mouth turned upwards in a faint smile. He always believed in the magic of possibility, Emily. He thought about the paths not taken but filled his heart with the love he had for his family, a beautiful contradiction. Maybe dreams change, Emily replied, sensing a revelation within herself as clarity washed over her. But they don't disappear. They can evolve, right? Yes, Dorothy said, feeling the warmth between their souls blossom. I believe they can. Sometimes, the most significant dreams arise from the ashes of what we thought we lost. The cafe felt smaller. The two women forged in their shared understanding. Emily's fears began to slip away, replaced by a light gleaming just beyond. We can pave a way for those dreams to return, she said, the words igniting a newfound fire within her. Absolutely, Dorothy agreed, her voice filled with conviction. But we need to face the shadows too. Mistakes, regrets. They can be painful to revisit. I'm ready for the truth, no matter how hard it is, Emily replied, her determination solidifying. Together we'll embrace both. Dorothy nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. Then let us turn those dreams into brave actions, Emily. They don't have to be memories of the past, They can become your future. As they exchanged glances filled with hope, the shadows faded away, revealing paths and possibilities that awaited them. Just as they began to weave their future, Leo quietly approached the table, sensing the poignant atmosphere enveloping them. "Hope I'm not interrupting," he said gently. "Just wanted to say whatever you ladies are uncovering, I'm here for it. Together, we'll bring those dreams back." Emily turned toward him, her smile radiant. "Thanks, Leo. It feels like we're writing a new story." "Exactly," he replied. "One where old regrets are transformed into new adventures." Dorothy cleared her throat and addressed Leo. "You'll have to help us because we have much to explore, memories to relive, and dreams to reclaim." A bubbling excitement thrummed through the air. Emily's heart soared, feeling the connections between them tightening, transformative and healing. Before long, Dorothy shared snippets of untold stories, laughter mingling with the bittersweet recounting of hopes dashed by distance and time. Emily hung on to each word, feeling a surge of closeness to her grandfather she never thought possible. In that small cafe corner, amidst the flurry of lives passing by, they began crafting a new narrative together, a legacy that honored past dreams while opening doors to new horizons. As time drifted, they promised to meet again, planning future gatherings that would reignite the fire they found together. And as the sun dipped lower in the sky, a golden hue settled within Emily, illuminating her path. It was now time for her to live fully and boldly, to embody the bravery her grandfather instilled within her, and to share that courage with everyone around her. Emily stepped outside into the crisp evening. The world was a little brighter, possibilities stretched before her like an endless sky, waiting eagerly to be explored. "Together, we'll ignite these dreams," Emily declared, filled with hope as she turned to Leo and Dorothy. The journey was just beginning, but she understood while dreams might differ, courage, love, and authenticity could bond them all in a beautiful tapestry of shared experiences. Finally feeling at peace, she took a deep breath and embraced the change. This was her moment. And just like that, with hearts full of renewal and strength, they stepped forth into their shared journey transformed, connected, and ready to mold their futures like clay, whenever past and present might emerge. Emily smiled, her heart full, her dreams alive. Now was the time to share this journey with the world, and she knew it wouldn't stop here. Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. This is the moment to show your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear from you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of showing strong support.